Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife, the story of America's favorite family of the footlights and their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. Another day at sea aboard the liner Poseidon as Mary, Harry, Pop, Calvin, and Greg and the other passengers head for their destination, Durban, South Africa. A beautiful, warm sun shines down on the deck now as our friends play shuffleboard and discuss their upcoming television special. I think it's your turn to shoot the point, Larry.
Keeping a wary eye out for icebergs, but I guess we're too far south.
Oh, we're too far south for that, Calvin. Yes.
This time of the year.
Greg, did you look over the wire from the network again and decide whether they meant what it sounded like?
I'm going to go ahead anyway. You know, the networks now run mostly by salespeople, and they're very shaky about spending a little money.
Yes, I know that.
I'm going to go right ahead and do what I think is best to produce what I think will be a wonderful TV special with you two and you, Calvin, and Pop, and I just don't care how much money I'm going to spend. I'm just going to turn out what I think is a wonderful TV show. Oh, I think that is the nicest thing to hear. Oh, that's really great. How'd it go?
That really is the proper attitude to have.
We need more fellows like you in the broadcasting industry who isn't afraid of a little red ink once in a while.
Right, and who thinks ahead and thinks more of the show than of the business part.
Of the audience more than the board of directors meeting and looking at figures and red ink and things like that. It's time that entertainment be given back to entertainers.
Oh, Mary, you're so right. And the two of you have really encouraged me. I'm really looking forward to starting our television special when we get to
Bunch
Africa.
of bookkeepers, they don't know anything about show business anyway. All they know is how to add up a column of figures.
Yeah, whoever said CPA should be in show business?
Right.
Doesn't have anything to do with
Or determine what is good and what is bad.
Yes, that's right.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Of course, we're all of the theater. We're not essentially business people, but we're more creative.
That's right.
You know, I'll be the first to admit that I can't reconcile my checkbook or anything like that.
Well, there's
but I don't try.
Nothing to be ashamed of in that. Not many of us can.
The way I look at it, if there's no money in the bank, the check will bounce.
Sure,
then I'll know I should make a deposit.
Right.
Sure, that's the only way to look at it. Of course. Who's ahead here in this game anyway?
Oh, I haven't even noticed, but I think it's my turn to shoot now.
I think I'm ahead.
What's the game anyway?
21.
21, all right. I think I've got 6 so far.
I got 19. Oh, you knocked me right out of the 10.
Yeah.
I thought I had the game wound up right there.
Let me take a try at it, Harry. Yeah, here's the thing.
Rake. Call him a rake.
Oh, you took my mind off the shot, Larry. It went right out of the trough there on the side.
No trough there. It's just a regular deck board.
It went overboard.
Wonder what people used to do on deck before some creative mind came up with shuffleboard.
Well, I don't know. They've got a ping pong table on the after poop, too.
Well, I mean, I think shuffleboard was invented before ping pong.
Oh, I'm sure it was, sure.
I don't know what they used to do. You say back in 1860, when people were on a boat for a couple of months, you know.
Paging Miss Jerry Rogers. Paging Miss Jerry Rogers.
Did he say Jerry Rogers?
Miss Rogers, please. Paging Miss
Excuse me,
Jerry
sir.
Rogers. Yeah, yes, sir.
Is Miss Jerry Rogers on this boat?
Well, she's supposed to be, sir. That's why I'm paging her.
You mean, well, I don't know. Possibly two Jerry Rogers.
Yes, it's not an uncommon name.
No, of course. Maybe it isn't our friend. The lady who used to go dip-a-dip-a-dip-a-dop like that.
Now, I don't know whether this one goes dip-a-dip-a-dop or not.
No, she goes dip-a-dip-a-dip-a-doo, dip-a-dip-a-dip-a-da.
Matter of fact, this one goes whoop-a-whoop-a-whoop-a-whoop. Something like that.
Well, then,
Whoop-a-whoop-a-whoop.
that's not the Jerry Rogers we know.
Oh.
Ours goes dip-a-dip-a-dip-a-doo.
And so the purser informs our friends that Miss Jerry Rogers is supposed to be aboard the Poseidon. But is it a different one? Be sure and join us tomorrow when we'll hear Mary say,
Yes, it's the same one.
That's tomorrow in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Word Carr speaking.
And now it's time to pick up more valuable tips for you home handymen as we pay another of our regular visits to the basement workshop of Fred Falvy, the do-it-yourselfer. Fred, I see you've really beautified the workshop with all those potted cactus plants. Those are new since our last visit, aren't they?
Yes, but those plants aren't primarily for decoration, Ray. You know, a cactus pulls moisture out of the air, so I bought these and transplanted them into pots with the aid of a few simple tools. Now they're keeping the basement dry for a good deal less money than a dehumidifier would cost.
Well, that's quite an idea, Fred. And I'm sure our friends on the out there in the radio audience will want to dig up some cactus plants for that very purpose the next time they're vacationing out west.
Yes, it's always a good idea to have a few around the house when you live in the city. You can tap them for drinking water if your pipes have to be turned off for a long period. Cactus water doesn't taste very good, but it can keep you alive for several days after your neighbors have all died of thirst.
And you just cut a hole in the cactus to get the fluid out, is that it?
Yes, that's right, Ray. A number 5 paring knife is the best thing to use, but in a real emergency, almost any pointed shop tool will do.
So there you have it, listeners. Just one more example of better living by doing it yourself. Fred, I'm sure our home handymen are all anxious now to hear about your newest project here in the basement workshop, so go right ahead.
All right, Ray, this week I have a fascinating new project started in the basement workshop. It's this handsome thermometer that can be placed on the wall inside the home or nailed to a tree in the yard, whichever you prefer.
Gee, it really is beautiful and useful, too. Would you explain to the handyman listening how you made it?
Well, what I plan to do is explain how I made it for the benefit of the handyman listening in.
Oh, well, good.
It's really quite easy to do with a few simple tools. Now, the tube that holds the mercury is just an ordinary glass drinking straw. I sealed one end shut by heating the glass to the melting point with a standard acetylene torch.
Oh, that seems fairly simple. But where did you get the mercury to put inside?
Well, of course, you can always buy it in quantity on the New York Commodity Exchange, but you don't really need that much for one thermometer. So I got mine from condemned tuna fish.
Is that available on the New York Commodity Exchange?
I'm not really sure about that, Ray, but the inexpensive source I found is a local fish cannery that had thousands of cases of tuna fish condemned because of excessive mercury. And I merely squeezed each chunk of tuna here in this number 8 vise and then caught the drippings in a bucket.
And that's all pure mercury that drips into the bucket, huh?
No, it's mostly fish oil. Just a little mercury mixed in. But of course the mercury is heavier than the oil, so it sinks to the bottom after you let the mixture sit for a few weeks. Then it's quite simple to get it out of an ordinary household ladle.
Well, then I suppose you just put the mercury in a glass tube, well, with an eyedropper or something like that.
Standard number 6 eyedropper. It's the best thing to use for putting the mercury in the tube. Then you simply glue the tube to a nice piece of varnished lumber to complete your thermometer. Of course, you want to paint numbers down the side there to indicate the various temperatures.
I see you have a number 64 painted on the wood part, and then a 72 above that, and then an 86 up near the top.
That's right. I just call the Weather Bureau occasionally to get the temperature, and then I paint in the figure they give me right at the point where the top of the mercury is. Of course, I'll have to wait till next winter to fill in the lower numbers near the bottom.
Well, it's going to be a real professional job when you're finished, Fred, and I'm sure it cost, well, much less than you'd pay for a thermometer in a store.
Oh, yes, I already had the glass straw and the lumber, so my only investment was for the $300 worth of condemned tuna fish. But I'll get most of that back as soon as I find a few of the neighbors who aren't afraid to eat it.
Well, it shouldn't be too difficult now that you've removed most of the poison and everything. Well, once again, fond listeners, we've witnessed a typical example of how to live better by doing it yourself. Direct from the basement workshop of Fred Falvy, the do-it-yourselfer.
Next, Mary Backstayge, Noble Wife, the story of America's favorite family of the Footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. Another evening in the grand saloon of the liner Poseidon, and today our friends have been invited by the captain to participate in the entertainment. And as we join their table, we hear Mary, Pop, Calvin, and Greg listening to the entertainment?
The captain
This is
ordered
going to
the
be a
canvas
very hard
prepared.
act to follow.
That night, the sailors spread it on
I
deck.
think
The child was placed in
he's
it.
got my
Then it was
dance
folded
number set
over
up
her
for
body
the
and
next
sewn up ready for burial.
I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to be part of the audience tonight.
Yes, I am too, Calvin.
You know,
But even as they did so,
there's something comforting.
But even as they did so, everybody
Yes.
heard the.
Something comforting about just having to sit in the audience, not having to get up and perform.
But she
This may
came.
not be
But she.
such a hard act to follow.
In 1683, she married King Louis XIV, and for the remaining 32 years of his reign, it was Francoise who guided.
You're going to do the number from Westchester Furioso, Pop? No, I'm going to do another one this time. Something I've been working on in my stateroom.
And for the remaining 32 years of his reign,
He's
The one thing a tap dancer has to do is
destiny of France.
to work with the drummer. Oh, is he over?
As the MC, he's going to announce the next
Thank
act.
you very much, Mr. Storyteller.
Break a leg, Pop.
I know it, speaking for all the audience, that we're all just dumbfounded and aghast at your story and your ability to tell one.
Say that again.
It's certainly entertainment of a new dimension, and I know that you have a great storytelling career ahead of you. Now, friends of the Poseidon, as we head toward a terrific sea adventure, we'd like to welcome to our stage Pop Beloved, who recently been featured in the great Broadway show Westchester Furioso. He's going to do a little shtick, a little tap dance for us. So let's give him a Poseidon welcome, Pop Beloved.
Thank you very much. Okay, drummer. Hey, this is a new number.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, this is difficult.
Yes,
This is when the tap dancer begs for applause. You know, he goes through those very simple steps, making it look difficult, waving his arms in a circle.
yes, and look, he's winking at me.
What happened? Oh, he fell down.
Well, you all right, Pop? Yes, just my dignity is hurt. How'd you like to do? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Very good.
Real crowd pleaser I am.
You really took a header. Did you hurt yourself?
No, I don't think so, Mary.
Well, too bad. You got your white ducks all stained.
Tomorrow is when you'll feel it, Pop. You'll see whether you hurt yourself or not.
Yes, that's true.
That's
About
true.
those muscle things. It's the next day is when you notice it. Yeah.
Right, let's see what the next act is going
Thank
to
you
be.
very much, Pop. We all enjoyed that very much. Unfortunately, you fell there at the end, but I don't think it detracted one bit from your act.
I know it.
And now, from New York, Miss Jerry Rogers.
It is the same Miss Jerry Rogers, all right.
Yes, it is. Waiter, will you get another round of drinks for this time?
My house, that. Same thing all around again.
Yeah.
I'll take a double.
Me too.
You had doubles the first time. Well, then it'll be the same again.
You know, I'm not from Missouri, but this song really gets me. For me.
How do you suppose she happened to be on this same vessel with us? I don't know.
Oh, very good. Just terrific. Thank you very much. Well, that just about wraps up the entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. The orchestra now will be playing for the next few minutes for your dancing pleasure. Thanks for riding the Poseidon.
And so another night's entertainment concludes aboard the Poseidon, and our friends draw ever nearer to South Africa. You want to join us on Monday when we'll hear Calvin say,
Land ho!
that's Monday in the next exciting episode of Mary Backstage Noble Wife. Word Carr speaking.
Olberman wrote to us to fill us in on that. Remember that fellow called us on
Yeah.
the phone yesterday asking us about the
unassisted triple plays, and he has a complete list of all of them. The last one was made, unassisted double play. It was made in 1968 by Ron Hansen, who was a shortstop for the Washington Senators at that time, versus the Cleveland Indians. So there.
Keith has got those statistics right at his fingertips. Anybody? He's a great baseball card collector. This fellow up in Hastings on Hudson, and they had a big meeting of all the baseball gum card collectors a couple of weeks ago, which he attended. And they buy and they sell and they go up into the hundreds, some of the rare ones. And we were on one. Yeah. We did radio people 20 years ago, I guess. We were on one somewhere, someplace. I don't have one, do you?
Bowman's gum. No, I don't have one. I do wish I'd kept my baseball cards, though. Oh. What I wouldn't give to have my Jimmy Fox right now.
Yeah. Had all the Red Sox.
Doc Kramer and, all the Red Sox.
Oh, if you come across one of the Bob and Ray ones, hang on to it, because that'll be worth at least a dime sometime.
And hi there, sports fans. This is your eyes and ears of the press box, Biff Burns, speaking out once again from the Biff Burns Sports Room. And we have a fella in the sports room today who's fighting hard to win Rookie of the Year honors with the New York Mets, Whitey Stickwell, and glad you could make it, Whitey.
Thanks, Biff. I'm glad I could make it. But I'd like to correct one thing you just said there.
Oh?
I'm not really fighting hard to win Rookie of the Year honors at all. In fact, I haven't gotten into a game all season. Most of the fans don't even know I'm with the Mets.
Well, I've noticed Yogi seems to be holding you back for some reason, Whitey. What's the real lowdown on that?
Well, I'm not sure, Biff. I imagine the real lowdown has something to do with the fact that I'm even older than old Case. I'll be 94 a week from next Thursday.
Well, I was going to mention that you don't seem to be in quite the same age group with most of the rookies coming up this year. I mean, you're a good deal more feeble than the average youngster, and I notice your hair is completely white there.
Yes. Well, it was on account of my hair that they nicknamed me Whitey. Back in the days when I was with the Federal League, they used to call me Blackie Stickwell.
What league did you say that was?
Federal League. Went bankrupt in 19 and 14.
Well, was there any special reason why it took you so long to work your way up to the majors, Whitey?
Well, frankly, Biff, I attribute it to the complicated farm system they have in pro ball. I had to knock around with Class D teams for about 24 seasons before they thought I was ready for tryout in the 3I League.
That was where the Mets spotted you, was it?
No, that's where the manager spotted me, hitting 126, and sent me back to Class D for a little more conditioning. I was down there for 17 years the second time before I got my big chance in the Southern Association.
And that proved to be your springboard into the majors, eh?
Well, no, that proved to be my springboard back to Class D. I was even worse in the Southern Association than I'd been in the 3I League. In fact, I set a record that still stands by striking out more times than I came to bat.
Well, how could you possibly do that?
Well, I'd be standing in the on-deck circle and start swinging at balls that were being thrown to the fellow who batted ahead of me. Once in a while, I'd swing at 3 bad ones before I actually came up at all.
So you went back to Class D for the 3rd time, and you must have finally found yourself down there.
No, it was the owner of the team who finally found myself down there. My timing was starting to get even worse by then. The owner wanted to farm me out, but there was nothing below Class D to farm me out to, so I got the sack.
Well, it's not much of a success story, Whitey, and it's kind of hard to see how the Mets would pay a $50,000 bonus to a player with your background.
Well, I've kind of wondered about that myself, Biff, and all I can figure is that the Mets might have gotten me mixed up with my grandson, whose name is also Whitey Stickwell. Now, he pitched 19 no-hitters in high school last year, and scout from the Mets was real high on the kid. But when they sent another fellow around with the contract, he signed me instead.
Well, it's a real rags to riches story that could only happen to you and the Mets, Whitey. And this is Biff Burns saying, until next time we get together here in the sports room, this is Biff Burns saying, so long, fans. This is survey number 67. And, sir, I believe you know the rules. You've never met me, and you've received nothing for taking part in the comparison survey, huh? He's nodding, shaking his head no, and nodding yes, he has received nothing. All right, now you listen to the Bob and Ray Show for a period of 8 to 10 days, was it? He's nodding his head up and down, yes. And how many actually in all?
9.
9. And at the end of that time, you evaluated the 2 programs, the Bob and Ray Show and another one, and you decided which one came out the winner. Which one was it?
Oh, Bob and Ray came out the winner because they have 2 radial strips and guaranteed for 40,000 miles.
Thank you very much, sir. And now the makers of Tingle, the long-wearing dental floss created from spun glass fiber, invite you to join us for another exciting adventure of Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
My name is Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy. Day in and day out, I work on some of the toughest espionage assignments our government can hand out. Recently, we got word that a foreign power might try to sabotage our shortwave radio broadcasting facilities. It was my job to protect the transmitter at all costs. Late one evening, a strange man with a long beard and a black satchel entered our cleverly hidden master control room and approached me.
Good evening, sir. Are you the man of the house?
Yes, and I'm guarding this entire facility against possible enemy sabotage. The name is Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Herbie Isher, radio repairman. One of your listeners complained to us about reception of your broadcasts, so I thought I'd better check out the equipment here.
Well, I'm sure there's nothing wrong with it. We're getting through to all the foreign capitals just fine.
Yeah, that's the complaint I got. It came from one of your regular listeners in a foreign capital. So where's your thing with all the transmitting tubes in it?
It's in that highly classified area over in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm supposed to shoot any unauthorized person who tries to go near there. But since you're wearing a radio repairman's coveralls, I suppose that makes you authorized.
I was hoping that's the way it looked to you. So just unlock that big panel there and let me check around inside.
Very well. But if I can't say anything wrong, I'm only going to pay you for a service call. I'm quite shrewd about handling matters like this.
Oh, yeah, I can see you're real shrewd, all right. Open up the panel, will you?
There. See? The tubes are all glowing, so they couldn't be burned out.
Uh-huh. I'll just remove this great big one and about 3 or 4 of the smaller ones.
But won't that weaken our broadcasting range a little?
Yes, but that'll take care of the complaint we got from your regular listener in a foreign capital. He said you were coming through much too clearly.
Well, all right. I guess you have your job to do, Ralph.
My name's Herbie.
Oh, yes, you told me that when you came in, but I was just looking at the name Ralph embroidered on the pocket of your coveralls there.
Oh, well, don't get suspicious about that. I can explain it easily. See, Ralph died unexpectedly about an hour ago of violent causes, so I just borrowed his coveralls.
Well, there's nothing unusual about that. Of course, I'm really supposed to check out any violent deaths I hear about. But I guess handling all this electrical equipment makes radio repair, very hazardous work.
Oh, I'll say. Ralph was shot 4 times at point-blank range.
Really? I didn't know a radio could do that to a person. But you're the electronics expert. Doesn't seem to strike you as being unusual. So I'll just file my daily report with the chief, saying, situation at the transmitter found normal. By Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
Friends, we know how anxious you are to show your appreciation to the sponsors of this fine program. So rush out now and buy a case of Tingle, the miracle dental floss made of spun glass fiber. Get some instantly and be sure to join us soon for more exciting adventures in the career of Elmer W. Litzinger, Spy.
Once again, we've had our scouts searching the railroad and bus stations around New York for unfortunates who need help from our generous Bob and Ray organization. Bob, I see you have one of those creatures there at the microphone with you now.
Well, yes, I do. She is Mrs. Cleo Shumwalt of Red Lodge, Montana, Ray. And she has something of a noisemaker here that's part of her problem. If you just make the noisemaker stop while we're talking, Miss Shumwalt, okay?
Well, actually, I'm not playing with it. It's just that I've gotten so used to the static on my radio back home that
I can't understand what people are saying unless there's a lot of racket going on. My doctor calls the disease fringe area deafness.
And you've come here to New York seeking a medical cure, is that right?
Just a moment. Now, what was that again?
I was asking if you've come to New York seeking a medical cure.
Yes, I've spent a great deal to get here, but it will be worth it if I can be helped. People really get bugged when I sit next to them in a movie with my noisemaker.
I can see how they would. It is nerve-wracking. But tell me, have the New York doctors given you any hope at all?
Well, not as long as I live in Red Lodge, Montana, no. You see, we're 200 miles from a radio station, and there's a lot of copper in the ground out there. And that's why they get so much static. And the medical people say my ear membranes are going to stay irritated unless I move somewhere else.
Well, that is tragic. I wish there was something...
Wait a minute, I'm not ready. All right, now go.
I say it's tragic to have your life upset this way, but from our generous Bob and Ray organization, here's a box seat ticket to the performance of your choice by the New York Philharmonic.
Well, I can't go there. The conductor would kill me if I made enough noise to hear the orchestra.
Now we're going to move along to our next guest. Who's over... I wasn't talking to you, Miss Schumwalt. She's going to leave, I think. Our second guest with a hard luck story is Mr. Merton Steckney of Topeka, Kansas. And according to your card, Mr. Steckney, you've just blown your life savings on a trip to New York to seek financial backing for your invention.
Well, that's correct. And I've had nothing but disappointment. You see, I take this little box into a potential backer's office, and then I flip this switch.
Yeah.
And then they throw me out.
Well, that would be disappointing, but I don't know what you expect. Nothing happens when you flip that switch.
Oh, but it does. My garage door opens in Topeka, but I can't get anybody to call their long distance and ask my wife if the invention is working. So I'm out almost $500 for this trip.
Well, that's sad when you have a product that fills such an obvious need. But to ease your heartbreak, our Bob and Ray organization would like you to have this lovely color television set with remote control tuning.
Well, I don't really need the remote control. This other dial on my invention changes the channels on every TV set west of St. Louis.
That's quite all right, sir. And our final story today comes from Ms. Nellie Wolfkeck. I hope that's pronounced correctly. Wolfkeck. Of Niles, Ohio. And I hear that your young son, has become a victim of tragedy here in New York.
Yes, I wish now I'd never brought him here, but I promised the boy a trip to the city if he got good grades in school, and he made straight A's all last semester.
Well, what happened when you brought him to New York? Did illness strike?
No, he just had a chance to see a street gang for the first time, and he liked the idea of organized vandalism so much that he joined a group and got himself pinched.
Oh, well, I know the suffering it must have brought to you as a mother, but from our generous B&R organization, here's a lovely electric carving knife for you.
Well, I can't have that lying around when Norman gets out of the slammer.
No, that's right. I guess you couldn't. Well, you'll enjoy using it at your next buffet. And those are all of the hard luck stories we have for today, I think. Ray, back up to you on stage.
Close in 5 minutes.